Listen up, because if you think inflation was rough this year, you're not ready for the bare shelves and sky-high prices about to hit your grocery store. These are the 7 grocery products you'll wish you had before January. And trust me, missing out could ruin your pantry and your wallet. 7. Peanut butter. Peanut butter, that reliable jar of creamy or crunchy comfort, may become the latest victim of December's supply chain catastrophe. This pantry essential, beloved for its versatility and protein-packed punch, is under siege by forces that could leave grocery store shelves barren. The problem begins with peanuts themselves, a crop increasingly endangered by extreme weather and soaring input costs. In the United States, which produces over 5 million tons of peanuts annually, states like Georgia, Texas, and Alabama are reeling from unprecedented droughts and erratic weather patterns. Peanuts require consistent rainfall during their critical growing season, but many farmers saw fields parched for weeks, only to be inundated by torrential downpours that flooded and destroyed their harvests. The impact? A sharp 15% decrease in yield compared to last year. Sarah, a farmer in Georgia, describes her fields as a heartbreaking mix of dry pods and rotted roots. Adding to the crisis are skyrocketing costs for fertilizers and pesticides, forcing many small-scale farmers to abandon peanut production altogether. Meanwhile, global peanut markets aren't faring any better. Major exporters like India and China are grappling with their own agricultural calamities, tightening the global supply chain. For peanut butter manufacturers, the situation is equally dire. The processing of peanuts into butter requires steady energy supplies and packaging materials, both of which are becoming alarmingly scarce and expensive. Labor shortages in food production plants exacerbate the issue, delaying shipments and shrinking stock. Industry analysts warn that peanut butter prices could surge by 50% or more, while some smaller brands may temporarily halt production. For consumers, this scarcity extends far beyond a jar of peanut butter. Schools that rely on peanut butter for affordable meal programs and food banks that distribute it as a high-protein, long-lasting staple may find themselves unable to meet demand. Even holiday traditions could be disrupted. Think peanut butter cookies and chocolate peanut butter treats suddenly missing from the dessert table. Stock up now while you can, because by January, your favorite jar might be as elusive as a winning lottery ticket. 6. Potatoes. Few foods are as universally adored and versatile as potatoes. Mashed, baked, roasted, or fried, this starchy powerhouse anchors everything from weeknight dinners to festive holiday spreads. Yet, the humble potato is under existential threat, with shortages looming that could disrupt not just your kitchen, but the entire food industry. In the United States, Idaho, the nation's potato epicenter, is enduring a disastrous growing season. Heat waves during critical growth periods stressed crops to the brink, while unexpected frosts during harvest inflicted widespread damage. Jeff, a farmer in Idaho, reports, "We're seeing what looks like healthy potatoes on the outside, but they're riddled with defects inside. It's devastating." Maine, another major potato-producing state, faces similar woes, with heavy rains waterlogging fields and causing rot. The crisis isn't confined to the U.S., Canada, and the Netherlands. Both key potato exporters are also grappling with lower yields due to climate anomalies. Globally, potato production has dropped by an estimated 12%, tightening an already strained supply chain. Compounding these agricultural challenges are skyrocketing energy costs. Potatoes require specialized storage conditions, cool, dark, and ventilated, to prevent spoilage, but the cost of maintaining these facilities is becoming untenable for many producers. The ripple effects are already being felt. Fast food chains, which rely heavily on frozen fries, are facing supply bottlenecks. Smaller restaurants may be forced to remove fries from their menus altogether, and home cooks could see significant price hikes in both fresh potatoes and potato-based processed foods like chips and frozen hash browns. This scarcity hits hardest during the holiday season, when creamy mashed potatoes and golden roasted wedges are staples at family feasts. Without them, many festive meals will feel incomplete. Economically, potatoes have long been a cornerstone for budget-conscious households, offering a cheap, filling option to stretch meals. Losing access to this staple would push many families into even tighter financial straits. The solution? Stockpile potatoes now. Purchase in bulk, but prioritize storage-friendly varieties like russets. Invest in cool, dry storage spaces, and consider freezing pre-prepared potato dishes to tide you over. By acting now, you can ensure that your table doesn't go without this beloved comfort food as we head into a colder, leaner January. 4. Eggs. Eggs. The golden glue that holds everything together, from your breakfast omelet to your holiday cookies. But brace yourself, because by next month, eggs could become a luxury item, and you might have to kiss your morning scramble goodbye. Yes, eggs. Those delicate little ovals that seem so simple, so reliable, are about to become as rare as a guilt-free trip through the dessert aisle. Here's the ugly truth. America's egg supply is teetering on the edge of disaster, thanks to a brutal 1-2 punch of avian influenza, bird flu, and skyrocketing costs. Bird flu outbreaks this year have been catastrophic, wiping out millions of egg-laying hens across the country. According to USDA data, nearly 60 million birds have been culled in the past year to control the spread, slashing egg production to its lowest level in over a decade. Mike, a farmer in Iowa, put it bluntly, "In 1 month, I lost half my flock. It's like watching your livelihood burn to the ground." But disease isn't the only villain here. The skyrocketing price of chicken feed, driven by global grain shortages, has made keeping those remaining hens prohibitively expensive. Corn and soybeans, the staples of poultry diets, have seen price hikes of 30 to 50%, forcing farmers to scale back operations or quit altogether. And let's not forget rising fuel costs, which have jacked up transportation expenses, turning even the simplest trip from farm to market into a financial nightmare. What does this mean for you? Empty shelves in the egg section or price tags so outrageous you'll wonder if they've been gilded. Already in some parts of the country, a dozen eggs is fetching over $6, and experts warn prices could double again if the situation worsens. And don't think it's just about your morning omelet. Eggs are everywhere. They're in baked goods, pasta, mayonnaise, and even in some holiday cocktails. Eggnog, anyone? If egg supplies dwindle, the ripple effects will be brutal. Bakeries, already struggling with rising flour and sugar costs, are now bracing for the added blow of skyrocketing egg prices. Jennifer, a pastry chef in Boston, lamented, "We're paying almost double for eggs compared to last year. If prices go any higher, I'll have to raise prices or shut down. It's heartbreaking during the holidays." Food banks, which rely on eggs as a high-protein, cost-effective option, could also see their shelves empty, leaving vulnerable families in even more precarious situations. And let's not overlook the specialty market. Organic, free-range, and omega-3 enriched eggs, already pricier, could vanish entirely, or cost you so much you'll feel like you're buying diamonds instead of breakfast staples. What's the move? Stockpile now. Eggs can actually be frozen for future use. Just crack them into ice cube trays or airtight containers, beat them, and store them in the freezer. You'll thank yourself when January rolls around and everyone else is stuck with $12 cartons, or worse, none at all. This isn't just a holiday inconvenience. It's a breakfast apocalypse waiting to happen. 2. Cooking oil. The global cooking oil supply is in freefall, and it's not some mild inconvenience. It's a full-blown catastrophe in the making. It starts with production. Vegetable oils like sunflower, canola, soybean, and palm are heavily reliant on stable growing conditions. But guess what? Stability is out the window. Let's break it down. Sunflower oil, nearly 80% of global exports come from Ukraine and Russia. And with the ongoing war, fields have been abandoned, processing plants shuttered, and exports throttled to a trickle. Canola oil, North America, a major producer, has been walloped by droughts in the Canadian prairies and wild temperature swings in the U.S. northern plains, slashing yields by 30% in some regions. And palm oil, which makes up 35% of the world's vegetable oil consumption, is no better off. Southeast Asia's major producers, Indonesia and Malaysia, are battling extreme weather, labor shortages, and government export restrictions. The ripple effects? Oh, they're brutal. Prices for cooking oil have already soared by as much as 50% in some areas, and experts predict another 30% jump by year's end. Restaurants are already sounding the alarm. Small businesses, especially those reliant on fried foods, are on the brink of shutting down. A fried chicken shop in Georgia reported, "Our oil costs have doubled this year. We're charging more, but customers are complaining. We don't know how long we can keep this up." And it's not just small players. Fast food giants and packaged food manufacturers are grappling with the fallout too. And don't forget, cooking oil isn't just about frying up dinner. It's in nearly every processed food you can think of. Chips, crackers, margarine, even your beloved holiday cookies. As oil supplies dwindle, those products are either going to vanish from shelves or cost so much you'll think twice about buying them. Oh, and let's not even get started on biodiesel. With many countries pivoting to renewable energy, a significant chunk of the world's vegetable oil is being diverted into fuel, further straining an already fragile supply chain. Here's where it gets even worse. Oils like olive and avocado, already considered premium options, are facing their own crises. Spain, the world's largest olive oil producer, saw record-breaking droughts that decimated harvests. Some regions reported yields down by over 50%, and the shortages are so severe that even large-scale producers are rationing exports. What should you do? Stock up, immediately. Buy your vegetable oil in bulk, and don't be picky about the type. Canola, sunflower, peanut, or even corn oil, get what you can while it's still affordable. Store your oil in a cool, dark place to extend its shelf life, and consider experimenting with alternatives like lard or coconut oil for frying. If you've got the space, grab a backup bottle of olive or avocado oil for when things get really dire. Because come January, when the shelves are bare and that tiny bottle costs as much as a tank of gas, you'll be thanking yourself for acting now. Cooking without oil isn't just inconvenient. It's a culinary crisis you don't want to face. 1. Salt. Salt. The most basic, most essential ingredient in your pantry. The stuff you don't even think about when you toss a pinch into your soup or sprinkle it on your fries. But let me hit you with some harsh reality. Come December, salt, yes, salt, could become the next hot commodity. And trust me, when the shelves are bare and the prices are skyrocketing, you'll regret not grabbing that extra box or 5. You see, salt isn't just the foundation of flavor. It's the cornerstone of food preservation, industrial processes, and even winter road safety. But right now, the global salt supply is spiraling into a crisis so severe it's going to leave you reeling. The problem starts at production. Most of the world's salt comes from 2 sources: saltwater evaporation and rock salt mining. Both of these processes are being wrecked by the unholy trifecta of climate chaos, soaring energy costs, and logistical nightmares. Let's start with saltwater evaporation, the traditional method of harvesting salt. Coastal salt farms, which supply 38% of global salt, are at the mercy of Mother Nature. And she's not playing nice. Floods, droughts, and rising sea levels are disrupting production cycles across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Indian salt farmers are reporting unprecedented losses, with salt pans flooding prematurely or drying out too quickly. Meanwhile, in Europe, erratic weather is wreaking havoc on Mediterranean salt flats, reducing yields by 30% this year alone. Rock salt mining isn't faring any better. In the US, Canada, and Europe, salt mines are grappling with rising operational costs. Extracting and processing rock salt is energy-intensive, and with global energy prices through the roof, many mining operations are scaling back production or shutting down altogether. Mark, a miner in Kansas, said it bluntly. Between equipment costs, energy bills, and fewer workers, it's becoming impossible to meet demand. And then there's the transportation crisis. Salt, heavy and bulky, is notoriously expensive to ship. Rising fuel prices, port bottlenecks, and a crippling shortage of truck drivers mean that even if salt is produced, getting it to market is a logistical nightmare. Some shipments are delayed by weeks, while others are simply canceled. The result? Shelves that should be stocked with $1 boxes of table salt are either empty or loaded with products priced like a luxury item. But here's where it gets really grim. Salt shortages aren't just about bland food. Salt is critical in processed foods, from canned soups to frozen meals, and in preserving meats and fish. If supplies dwindle, these products will become more expensive, or disappear entirely. Think about this. Salt is also essential for water treatment plants, livestock feed, and even the manufacturing of essential goods like soap and cleaning products. A salt crisis isn't just inconvenient, it's catastrophic. And don't forget winter. Road salt, the stuff that keeps highways safe during snowstorms, is also in short supply. With less rock salt available, cities and states are bracing for dangerous, icy conditions that will only add to the chaos. Imagine slipping and sliding on untreated roads because salt shipments couldn't make it through. So, what's your plan? Stock up now. Get multiple types of salt: table salt, kosher salt, sea salt, whatever you can find. Keep it in airtight containers to avoid moisture and clumping. If you use specialty salts for cooking, grab those too, because gourmet options like Himalayan or flake salt are going to become unicorns of the grocery world. And don't skimp. Salt has an indefinite shelf life, so it's the ultimate prepper's dream. By January, when people are paying ridiculous prices for a basic seasoning or fighting over the last box on the shelf, you'll be sitting pretty. Salt might not seem glamorous, but it's about to become the MVP of your pantry, and you'll be kicking yourself if you don't stockpile it now. Thank you for watching.